Okay, so for this recipe, we're going to be using mussels that are going to be cooked the marinière style, the basic style, then use the mussels to make something a bit more intricate. That recipe is going to be the classic mussel soup with saffron. It's something that you can find in the south of France, but also in other places. And as you can see, there's plenty of flavors that goes into there, but it is a good place to start when you want to start to, evolve or improve your mussel game. Okay, so let's see how it's made. So, immediately, let's start, of course, with the mise en place, the preparation of ingredients, and as you can see, there's a lot of things going on here. On your left, we're going to be starting, of course, with the kilo of mussel and all the ingredients that we've seen for the marinière style of mussel, so mainly the shallots, finely chopped, and the parsley we're going to chop a little bit more, the butter, and the wine. On the other side, on your right, these are the ingredients we're going to be using to make the soup. So once the mussels are cooked, we're going to start to make the soup base with finely chopped carrots, leeks, fennel, tomatoes, onion, fish stock. Then we're going to have some cream, and to finish, salt, pepper, a bit of star anise, or you can use pastis if you like, and some threads of saffron. So it's a lot of little things, but don't worry. The recipe is actually not all that difficult. The first thing we're going to do, of course, here is to prepare and cook the mussels. And then when that's done, we're going to follow on with the rest. Very quick recap on how to make the marinière mussel. Butter, we're going to have the shallot, the parsley, but this time, the reason I'm showing you this again is because we're going to be using 3 times the amount of wine as we usually use. So instead of like 40 ml, we're going to have about, let's say 150, it's a bit more than 3 times, because we want to yield a lot of these nice mussel juices. So first, melt the butter, then put the shallots. The butter is melted. Shallots, 1 or 2 minutes. So remember, you start medium heat for the shallots, 1 or 2 minutes, then we go parsley, the wine, and then high heat. Then we put the mussel and cook for 6 minutes with a lid on very high heat. The wine is boiling. Mussels in. You mix well. Put a lid on. 6 minute cooking time, shaking from time to time, remember? Always a bit of a shake. 6 minutes, the mussels are ready. We're going to scoop them out, reserve them in a bowl, and let them cool down before we can take them out of the shell. You're going to take the juice, and you're going to filter the juice to make sure there's no grit left behind. Perfect. So now that you've cooked the marinière mussel, you got 2 things. You got the mussels that we're going to reserve in a little bit of juices, and you got the mussel fumé that is freshly made. With that, we're going to be using a fish stock. Now, if you're one of the students that completed our beginner course or our sauce course, you will know about making your own fish fumé. It is always the best option. But I'm conscious that not everybody has done the course, or you don't have this at home, so I am purposely using here a off-the-shelf seafood stock in order to make that soup. It is the next best thing. But it works because now we at least have something that we have homemade, that beautiful mussel fumé here. Okay, so we're gonna sanitize the stock first, take another pan, take this out, and start the rest of the recipe. So when you're ready, let's go. We're gonna start, of course, by melting the butter in the pot. The butter is now melted. We're gonna start by putting the onions. If you have some extra shallots, like I had some extra ones, you can put them as well. Medium heat, and give a good 2 minutes for this to get them started before we add the other vegetable. Once your onions are fragrant, we're going to follow with the rest of the ingredients. So it's a soup. So we've got leeks, we've got carrots. I'm going to go easy on the leeks there. And you're also going to have, there's a piece of thyme in there, it's trying to sneak in. Fennel. There's plenty of fennel. Now in the south of France, fennel is used a lot. Now if you don't have not enough fat in there, you can add a little bit of olive oil into the mix. And now we're going to spend a good 5 minutes on a rather medium-low to leave this to sweat a little bit. After 4 to 5 minutes, you will see that your vegetables, when we say to sweat the vegetables, is really to render some water, and you see how they've fallen in kind of size, and they're getting a little bit soft and translucent. I've added actually a tablespoon of olive oil, as I mentioned in here, and we really rely on these fresh flavors. It has to be fragrant, it has to be floral. We call that in France fleuri. Hein, il faut que ce soit fleuri. Fleuri, talking about the flower, it is all the vegetable side of things and these nice garden fresh flavors. Now this is a little bit of a thickened soup, a bit like a velouté. So we're going to add 20 grams of flour. If you're gluten intolerant, you can just add corn flour at the end. Okay, so a bit like a roux. We're going to do the same principle as the velouté. Always a little bit of flour in there, but not too much. You don't want to have something like a velouté. It's really just a little bit of flour to thicken the whole lot, okay? And now we're going to add some aromatics. So the aromatics, a bit of thyme, it's up to you how strong you want it in thyme. 2 small bay leaf in here, okay? And now it's going to be the time of adding the rest of the ingredients, mainly the beautiful mussel fumé and the fish stock. Okay, so I'm going to start. Always leaving a little bit behind because there may be some grits there, you never know. So always, I'm never finishing the actual bowl in here. So that's a base of taste, very important. And then we're going to take the fish stock that is in the back here, has been sanitized, and then same thing, we're going to add this in there. Up, half a liter. With this, we're going to add some tomato because we like to have a bit of tomato flavors, and then of course bring this to the boil. So I'm going to raise my heat to accelerate things a little bit. My soup starts to simmer, and you've noted I didn't add any salt. What I'm going to do here is a little bit of pepper. You never add too much salt in soups in French cooking, and here especially because the mussels are full of salt. We're going to add the garlic, okay, and we're going to now reduce the heat and leave this to simmer for a good 15 minutes to concentrate the flavors. The time is up. I'm going to turn my heat off, and this is what we've got. The soup has thickened slightly, okay? It's really reduced a little bit, not too much, just enough to concentrate the flavor. So of course what we're going to do here, we're going to taste. Now, always taste your preparation, huh? Okay? No. You know what? I kind of forgot how good that soup was. Wow. Now it is really something very, very special, the mussel soup. But anyway, this is the first part that is done. Now this is not your type of countryside soup where you're going to put all the vegetables in there. What needs to happen is that we need to filter all of the garnish here through a sieve, pressing down everywhere, you know, the mixture to extract all the vegetable juices. And we're going to put this into another pan that I've got here, okay? And we then finish the soup with the saffron, the star anise or pastis, and the cream, okay? So let me filter that soup and show you. Now, if you did not understand, I made a mess here. If you didn't understand what I meant by pressing down, you've got your sieve, and you're gonna press like this with a pochon. It's a little ladle. And you're gonna press and get as many juices as you can. You're gonna extract as much as you can in there. And you can see there's not too much soup, but don't worry, you've got the cream. And we're back on the stove. So the first thing we're going to do is to raise the heat, and this is what we've got. There is some reddish color because we had some tomato, but as you can see, we're far from that kind of saffron color, which is kind of the yellowish color. And this is going to happen now. The first thing we're going to do is to use a star anise. You can use a tablespoon of pastis if you like, and we're going to start by adding the cream. It's up to 100 ml. Okay. So that plays with the color, so you're going to get the white canvas on here. And with this, of course, going to come the saffron. Now the saffron is very, very difficult to use. So I'm going to start to a little bit, and we're going to see how we're going to go with the color. But first, let's bring this to a light boil first. Oh. The soup is almost done here, and now it's just a matter of reducing and adjusting the amount of saffron, nothing more than half a gram to get that color. You see there's a little color coming, so I may add a little bit more. It's like 2 pinches of it that I really crush in my fingers here, and that is gonna be it. You can go a bit further, but you have to be careful because saffron is very strong, and I found it, like it happens to me a lot of time, by wanting to get too much color, you get too much taste. So sometimes not having that super yellow color is for the best, because you're not gonna kind of destroy your soup. You still want to have the taste of the mussel and everything, and not just a saffron soup, okay? So we've got a nice tinge, and I'm gonna leave this now to reduce for a good 10 minutes again. Now for the reduction, you can afford, you know, a light boil like this, and you see the color already? With second pinch, it starts to get really yellow, so I'm glad I didn't put any more saffron in there. The time is up. The soup is now ready to be served, and we can talk about the thickness, because this is not your standard type of soup that you have usually with all the bits and stuff, and not super thick. This is the typical French style, which is very, very liquid. As you can see, this is the consistency. If you want the soup to be a bit thicker, you can add some corn flour and dilute it in a little bit of the soup in here. But usually, that is fine. It is very delicate. It's got an extremely subtle flavor of all the vegetables that we had before, especially with the fennel. You got the star anise that is quite strong, the saffron, and that will go perfectly with the mussels that are actually still reserved on the side, and don't put them in. Otherwise, they're gonna overcook immediately. So now we're done, let's serve. Look at this little table. The table is served. So how do you serve this mussel and saffron soup? Usually, you can have some croutons on the side. I've just toasted some bread on here. And you can put some mussel like this at the bottom. You have to absolutely filter the soup before to catch all these saffron little bits that may be floating around. And then the soup is extremely hot. And I'm just gonna pour the soup, but not overdoing it, so that you want to see on here the mussels. And with that, we're going to add a touch of green. Now the touch of green has to be really minimal, so I'm going to try to be very, very gentle. I'm using, as always, some parsley, but you see how I'm throwing it like this in little bits, really just a hint, because otherwise the parsley is too strong. You don't want to denature the whole thing. And that's about it. We can dig in. So there we have it for the presentation, and it's hard when it's beautiful like this to want to try something. So what should I do? Where should I start? Maybe, okay, I'll put a burnt crouton in there to start with, in the sauce. I want to taste this in the crouton and the sauce first. Saffron with the bread, it's very elegant. That's a restaurant style kind of dish. But let me try, of course, the mussel like that with the soup, the saffron and the mussel, the stocks. That's what I thought. It works perfectly. This is elegant. Absolutely elegant. And so I hope you liked the recipe, and if you want to learn more about this technical stuff on how to layer flavors, use the mussel marinière, make another recipe, I would strongly advise to check our online school. We've got 4 courses, and our flagship course is one of the most successful there is online. We've got more than almost 2,500 students enrolled, and it will teach you everything there is to know about French cooking, starting from the very beginning, and really transform your cooking. Link in the video description. And honestly, doing this kinds of thing is gonna allow you to cook that sort of dishes at home. But that's it for this week. I'll see you next week for another beautiful video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Whip up my